Hey guys, welcome to the Real Film School. Today we're going to be discussing about how to write dialogues. Before we go to the answers of how to write dialogues, there are three other topics which we need to cover. First one is observations. I'm going to share with you my observations, and if you can agree with my observations, then you can agree with my methodology. Second is criteria. There is criteria for dialogue writing. Yes, surprisingly, there is criteria for dialogue writing. And thirdly, I'm going to be sharing with you what do you need to write dialogues. Once we've covered all these three topics, I will move into how to write dialogues itself. Films are a representation of the real world. When we recreate scenes, when we recreate a story, in a way it is supposed to represent I'm talking about the way people behave, speak, and so on and so forth. We are trying to recreate the real world. Therefore, if you observe real world, you will realize that people don't speak cohesively, and they don't speak in a clear way. There are plenty of errors. There are plenty of inconsistencies. There are repeats. There are mistakes. There are stammers, and all in all, the way we speak is imperfect. And next is that also there is accent, and then there are peculiar words which certain characters use, and which also reflects culture, which also reflects the culture and reflects background, where they're coming from, all those kind of information. So this is my observation, and if you were to look at, like, if you were to start doing your homework tomorrow, and if you were to observe how your mother speaks, how your uncles, how your friends who are from different backgrounds, race, religion, so on and so forth, you will really notice the nuances. That's one. Number two, when it comes to criteria, like what makes good dialogues. Now this, I read this in a book called Directing. I read about the criteria of dialogues when I was probably 19 years old or 20 years old. So in this book, the writer said that dialogues, number one, they are succinct. It is true. If you were to observe people, the way we speak, right? Hey man, how you doing? I'm good. How have you been, man? It's been so long since we met each other. Yes. So what's happening? What's going on? You know, if you look at the way people speak, they don't speak in essays. People speak in succinct ways. Dialogues are succinct. That's the first criteria. Second criteria, dialogues are colloquial. They are not formal. They are informal, and they are ordinary. This is a very important criteria in dialogue writing. It brings your audience closer. It makes them feel that that these are real characters, which means that the experience they get, it's a lot more enhanced. A very good example is The Godfather. It's just amazing the way the dialogues are written and how colloquial they are. 3. Dialogues also reflect vernacular. In Singapore, the way we speak English with a mixture of Mandarin and Hokkien words, so-called. So we call this Singlish. The way we in Singapore speak English is different from the way someone speaks English in India, and the way someone speaks English in Mexico or even Hungary. So the vernacular is a very important component of dialogue writing. Finally, this is my favorite part, dialogues connote. Now, one example is, have you ever seen when you call someone, your friend or your girlfriend, anyone, through their voice you can identify that they are not doing good. For an example, you call them, hey, how are you? And then the other person says like, yeah, have you been? Yeah, I'm good. So when they say I'm good, you know from the way they're delivering that they're not good. But it is just human tendency to say things which they don't really mean, and to mean things which they don't really say. So people connote. Another good example is that imagine if you got a character speaking to another character, a guy and a girl, and the guy says that is there something wrong? He's becoming a little bit insecure, and he's asking her, hey, are you okay if she's not her usual self? And she says, no, I'm fine, nothing. She says that. you know that nothing, it means a lot more than nothing. Now that is another very good example of connotation. Dialogues don't denote, they connote. Now the third topic, what do you need to write dialogues? Yes, my observation is done, and then there is criteria, and now there are certain things which you need before you can even write dialogues. Now, number one is that you need to know the characterization. You need to know the characters well. Characters employ language, employ dialogues, and each character, for an example, I'm from Singapore. The way I say the word finance is different from somebody who is from India. Somebody who's from India is going to say finance. Now, if I'm a dialogue writer and if I want my character who's from India to speak and say finance as finance, I must have a very strong reason. If I don't do that, that means that I didn't do my homework. So you got to know your characters well. Second, scene. Of course, this is pretty obvious. Each character, what they say in each scene changes according to their situation. If a character is going to be confronting his close friend of maybe something which is equivalent to cheating him, then of course the language, the words he chooses all change, even the vulgar language. Third, this is unusual, but good dialogue writers actually act psychologically when they write the dialogues. They kind of like become the characters, and then they pen assuming what they would, and then they pen assuming what they would say. Yes, good dialogue writers are also actors psychologically speaking. And then finally, the emotions. You need the emotions of the characters to of course make a guess of what they would possibly say. If somebody is going to be absolutely zen, of course the way I mean what he says even in a chaotic situation changes. Okay, so finally here we are, how to write dialogues. So I've shared with you my observation, and I've also shared with you criteria for dialogues, and finally what you need to write dialogues. So how do you write dialogues? What happens is that whatever I've shared with you so far is the knowledge, is the learning part of it, okay, is the information part of it. So this is not enough to be a good dialogue writer. Good dialogue writers access all this information to know their characters and to know what they would possibly say. Finally, when it comes to writing itself, they use their instincts. Yes, it's a combination of what you know and your instincts to make a guess of what the characters are going to say. I was watching a masterclass. The one on acting by Natalie Portman. It had a very interesting expression. She said that before they embrace a character, they do a lot of research about the character, how the character would think, what kind of person they are, the nuances, everything. They do all the research about the character that they need. And once they've done the research, it's kind of like they absorb all the information to the bone. And when they perform, they simply use their instincts. They don't use the information. They don't even try to access the information. It's just on the flow. And the information that they know dictates their performance. That's how it goes. It's the same for good dialogue writing. The information that you know, it kind of like helps you guide. But ultimately, it is your instincts which you use to write the dialogues. And if the character is supposed to be angry, and if the character is going to say certain things out of anger, the dialogue writer must feel that anger within them and then pen the dialogues. This is the instinct part of it. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that the information I've shared with you is useful and helpful. I would look okay, let's go. Okay, so that's it for today's episode. I hope that the information I've shared with you is useful, is helpful. I look forward to your comments. Please share them in the comment section. I look forward to your opinions. I do read them. And so till next time, see you. Bye-bye.